Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm KandyCorpse, you can call me Kay, and today is going to be some more true paranormal encounters. Alright, so let's just jump right into it. Let's get started. So our first story today is titled Family Generational Story. First, I am not a believer, though I wish I were, but here's some family lore that deserves to be passed on. For the purpose of understanding the story, my mother and grandmother were devoutly Catholic. I was a very difficult birth in the early 60s. My parents count I was at least a month late. Damn. Eventually, my mother was moved to the section of the hospital where they put a patient for whom things were not expected to work out, and holy shit, I can't read. And it appeared they did not expect either of us to survive. I was kind of in the same situation, like my mother and I. Like, they were like, these two are about to die. And then I was born. And here we are today, 23 years later. The night before I was born, she would wake up in terrible pain and only to find a volunteer sitting in the room with her. She described him as older with a long grizzly beard and dressed old-timey, almost sackcloth-like. He would calm her and tell her everything will be all right. I was born that morning without any further complications. My mother asked to thank the man who stayed with her, but they told her there was no such man, and she passed it off as a dream. Later, when her parents came to visit, she told them about the dream she had. Her mother became quite agitated, and my grandfather, who was a stocky 6'3", and German, actually began to tremble. When she asked them why, they told her about the birth of my uncle. In the 1920s, nope, I still can't fucking read. It was the 1920s, and they lived in a Protestant neighborhood. St. Louis was very segregated in those days. My grandmother's pregnancy was going very badly, and it was expected she would not survive. My grandfather was away on business, and a neighbor woman was seeing to her only out of great Christian charity, as she was terrified to be in the house, as she saw Catholics as pagans and witches. Late in the night, she got a knock on the door and answered it to find an elderly peddler. He had attempted to sell her some things, but she blew up at him and told him there's a dying woman in the house who won't survive the night. Therefore, she had no time for this nonsense. He apologized and reached into his bag and pulled out a medallion, I think something like that, and said she should take it to the woman. She argued a bit, but he was steadfast, and she gave in and took it to my grandmother. My grandmother put it under her pillow and instructed the woman to take some money from her purse and pay the man. When she went back to the door, the old man was gone. She went to the neighbors' houses looking for him, but no one had seen any such peddler. Obviously, the caretaker was freaked because peddlers go door to door. She went back to my grandmother, who asked her to describe the peddler, and then proceeded to deliver my uncle no problem. Obviously, the description was the same as my mother gave to them. They never told any of their children about this, I suspect because it freaked my grandfather out so much. Last point, not much of a correlation between mine and my uncle's life, other than we both are/were very ADHD. Honestly, I mean, it's similar circumstances. So, I mean, if we're looking at it as like a spiritual perspective, if it's the same person, maybe it's like some sort of an ancestor, or maybe it's just some sort of like a spirit guide or whatever that is just like protecting this family, and it's kind of watching over them, almost like in the way that some people would call this like a guardian angel of some sort, but maybe it's like an ancestor or a spirit guide. And it just helps because obviously the women in this family very much struggle with birth and struggle with giving a natural birth, and that can run in families. Like, maybe that's just something where the women in their family really struggle, and obviously in these two instances it was a difficult birth where it was expected that neither the mother or the baby would make it. So that's kind of interesting. It might, be something along those lines. Maybe it's some sort of just like whoever this man or entity was is just kind of watching over them, protecting them, and just keeping them safe. I am really upset because the one story, I was able to get a third story to load, but the second one that I wanted to do was like a cryptid creature story and it won't load. I'm so upset. The second one is shared hallucination or ghost encounter. That I think is really interesting because that's another thing that I've heard of before. I don't know like the details, logistics about shared hallucinations or anything like that, but I have heard of them before. And the whole kind of like mass hysteria type thing, like there's so much. It's so fucking interesting. Like I really think you should look it up. Like power of suggestion, shared hallucinations, mass hysteria, stuff like that. It's all super interesting and I think can definitely play into like some paranormal things. When I was 15, I went into a mental institution for trying to end my life. My room was in the juvenile ward, second on the right at the end of the hallway where our rooms were. I've always had a bad habit of looking down at my feet when I walk. One night when I was headed to bed, early, I was looking at the floor, walking towards the hallway. When I got to the entrance of the hallway, I felt a very cold breeze that made me slow down and look up. At the end of the hallway, I saw clear as day what I can only describe as a black mist of a body silhouette hanging from the ceiling on the right side at the very corner. I stopped, eyes widened, heart beating out of my chest. I turned my head to look behind me to see if someone else was around to verify what I was seeing, as I'd never experienced anything like this before. No one else was there. I turned my face back to the hallway and the mist was gone. I rationalized it in my head as a reaction to stress, new medication, and having had little sleep. I went to my shared room and kept what I'd seen to myself. The next day, sitting in the day room with the other girls, they were talking as we were all coloring. A girl who I had bonded with the most, she was funny, creative, smart, and had cool stories from travel, suddenly said, "You've been having a hard time sleeping here. I think this place is haunted. I keep seeing this girl that hung herself swinging in the hallway." I stopped coloring, shocked, instantly feeling chills run down my spine. No one else responded to her. Some rolled their eyes as if she was lying. I said, "Right side, very end corner." We locked eyes and a look of shocked excitedness came across her face. She said, "Yes, you've seen her too." Apparently, she'd seen her multiple times at the same spot. She described to me the exact same description, same size, same chill in the air as I'd seen and felt. I will never forget this. Any thoughts? So like I said, my internet is actually terrible right now. It looks like the other story loaded, so I'm so excited. But I can't see comments or anything like that, so I'm just gonna move on. But I do think that's very interesting. I wonder if it's almost like an omen, sort of, in a way, because like they said that they were in there for wanting to, you know, like self-unalive. And so I'm wondering if maybe the other girl was in there for a similar reason. And so maybe the reason why they're seeing, like, this is the first thing that popped in my head, is maybe the reason why they're seeing this entity this way is because it's someone who did take their life and they regretted it because they saw and maybe felt how their family felt, how their friends felt when they were gone. So maybe they want to try to prevent that from happening in the future. I don't know, but that's kind of like one of the first thoughts I had, beside like in a paranormal sense. These next two are about animals and I'm so excited. I love animals. I love when animals are involved in ghost stories. It's just so fun. Ghosts and like animals are like two of my passions, so when they're combined, it's so good. My wife, 5 kids, ages 12 to 23 from different mothers. That's kind of crazy, but anyway, whatever, you do you. And I just moved into a 4-bedroom house with a den. We have 3 cats, an orange one, I call him Dumbass, a Maine Coon, I call him Fat Ass, and a black and white one, I call her Horeo. Oh my god. The cats probably deserve it. We've only lived here a few weeks and I'm not working, so I'm using my handyman skills to do some repairs. Now, my 2 oldest daughters' room is in the attic, or den as they called it, that they share. Now, I may be overreacting, but Dumbass, Fat Ass, and Horeo all absolutely refuse to go up to the attic. And when forced, they hiss, growl, and swat at things that we can't see, along with little things like Stephanie's dolls being found where she knows she didn't put them, always in her room but not on the wall shelves, or Laura's pictures constantly falling off the wall or being found at a weird angle. The cats always run out of the room and look to the roof, hissing and growling and even chittering, my best description of Dumbass's noise/actions. I was always told cats/dogs can feel the presence of spirits even when we can never see them. I recently lost a brother and my wife recently lost an uncle. So I'm just curious, it's this just me and my family's paranoid mind overreacting, or is it something we should take seriously? Those pictures that are found at weird angles include our kids and either her uncle or my brother, so my mind is racing trying to find a sensical reasoning behind all this stuff. The only thing is, this all happens when we are in the house. The house was built in 1932 and has a colored history, to say the least. Burnt down once by arson in 1965, which one person died, rebuilt in 1969, and in 1977, the new owner killed himself in the attic in what she, the real estate agent, claimed was a firearm incident. Don't know if we believe the real estate agent about these incidents, but why would she lie? So what should I do? Already smudged the place with the Nakota Suo elder, and I don't think you're supposed to pronounce the X, but if I'm pronouncing that wrong, feel free to correct me, because I think that's how it's pronounced. I don't think you say the X, but anyway, a Nakota Suo elder, and that didn't seem to help. We not moving, I think that's like a grammar thing. We are not moving, as buying this house kind of put me and my wife in debt, in bad debt, but it was the perfect house for our family. Honestly, if it was just me seeing these things, I would just say it was time to quit smoking weed, but my wife plus all 5 kids are witnessing the same thing, so I know it isn't just my head. My 2 youngest, both boys, 12 and 15, refuse to go up to the attic. My middle daughter, 16, will only spend a few minutes up there before coming down and telling us she feels like someone is watching her. And she said, it isn't the eldest 2. That really freaks me and the wife out. The cats won't even go near the steps to the attic. My wife won't go up there. She'll either yell at the 2 girls or come get me to go get the girls if we're leaving, having supper, etc. Please, any advice would be greatly appreciated. It does kind of sound like it could be them in a sense, but also like, if it were them, I don't think they are intentionally scaring the family, but we don't know. We also don't know if it could be something negative that maybe knows that they're gone and is kind of preying upon them because it knows they're vulnerable. I don't know, but if the whole family and all the animals are seeing and experiencing things, something's going on there. Whatever is going on, something is going on there. Strange encounter with a black wolf creature in Tennessee forest. This is my first post here, so I'm sorry if it isn't descriptive enough, but I tried to give enough detail. Growing up in Tennessee on a small farm bordering a forest, I encountered numerous inexplicable events, but one series of occurrences remains a mystery to this day. Ooh, it's kind of reminding me of, like, I can't remember the name right now, but it's that witch. I can't remember her name. Around the age of 12 or 13, I started having reoccurring dreams set in the forest, a place I frequently visited. I encountered a large black wolf with glowing red eyes. Strangely, each sighting of this wolf preceded a death on the farm within a day or two, typically involving a chicken falling prey to a predator. During my final dream involving the wolf, a woman's voice accompanied its presence in the forest. I could hear her, but she always remained just out of my line of sight. Though her words are now hazy in my memory, I recall her saying, "Do not fear the wolf." Among other things, as the wolf circled me, I didn't feel fear, but rather a deep sense of respect for its ancient power. After that last encounter, I never saw the wolf again, but the dreams felt more vivid than reality. Since then, I've wondered about the identity of the wolf and the woman in the forest. These dreams mark the beginning of my fascination with the paranormal, leading to many more inexplicable experiences. I've often wondered if I connected with a forest spirit or a Native American presence during these encounters. Anyway, thank you for reading. I mean, it's possible. Like, a lot of people think that, like, animals can be, not a lot, I guess it kind of depends on who you're talking to like kind of figure out what they believe in, but some people who do believe in the paranormal also believe that animals can be spirits as well. And a lot of, like, indigenous, like American indigenous religions and spiritual beliefs, to my knowledge, a lot of them believe that, like, everything has life to it, everything has soul, has spirit, so that, you know, depending on your spiritual beliefs, almost kind of reminds me of, like, in Brother Bear, when the animals pass and you can kind of, like, see them in, you know, in the Northern Lights. They were able to see, like, the spirits of, like, animals that had passed and see, like, you know, life cycles and, you know, different things like that. So maybe it could be some form of, like, obviously with some sort of omen, and it was like telling me these things were gonna happen. What the fuck was that? I am staring directly at my phone, and what was that? There was no dust. Wait. Yeah, no, there's like no dust. There isn't a hair. There isn't like nothing just flew in front of my camera right now. What was that? Like, that actually was like, I literally had to look to see, because it was like off to the side. It was like right, it was like here. I don't know what the fuck that was, but now I'm starting to get myself paranoid. So I'm ending the video here. Thank you for watching. Check out my playlist if you want to see any more videos like this or any of the other Reddit series I've done, and I will see you guys in the next video.